The ocean's surface erupts as the massive shadow of an orca rises through the cold water. They do not simply hunt, they control the entire rhythm of movement beneath the waves. Their target becomes isolated, escape routes narrowing as pressure builds from every direction. Even other predators begin to slow when a pod of orcas moves in. Why does every appearance of an orca make the ocean itself hesitate? The ocean is home to more than 30 species of seals. They migrate with the seasons, hunt fish in cold waters, and climb onto ice to rest. A thick layer of blubber, streamlined bodies, and deep diving ability help them adapt to harsh conditions. Yet on floating ice that seems safe, danger can quietly rise from below. There, Weddell seals and crab-eater seals become targets of the orca, the ocean's apex predator. From beneath the surface, orcas rise to observe the ice floe where a seal is resting. They do not rush. Instead, they circle, assessing wind direction, ice thickness, and the position of the target. When the moment comes, the pod dives, accelerates in parallel, and generates coordinated waves with precision. For orcas, locating the target is only the beginning. The real advantage lies in turning the ice itself into part of the hunt. This rare strategy, known as wave washing, uses controlled waves to tilt the floe, break its edge, or sweep the seal from its footing. Meanwhile, the seal often moves deeper toward the center of the ice, trying to maintain balance and wait out the passing waves. But the pod can repeat the wave action multiple times, adjusting their angle based on the size and shape of each ice floe. When the seal slips into the water, the movement of the pod quickly closes in, and the safety of the ice nearly disappears. This method has shown success rates of around 90% in some field observations. It reveals that orcas are not only powerful, but capable of turning the ocean into a strategic arena for survival. The great white shark has long been seen as a symbol of solitary power in the ocean. With a torpedo-shaped body, continuously replacing teeth, and an estimated bite force of around 4,000 pounds of force, this predator maintains its position in the food chain through speed, electroreception, and the ability to detect the slightest vibrations in the water. But in some cold regions, that balance begins to shift when it encounters another force, one that is not only powerful, but highly coordinated. From the depths, a pod of orcas moves into the hunting grounds in near silence. They use echolocation, group formation, and controlled approaches to disrupt the shark's response. As the shark turns to maintain stability, one orca has already approached from below. The decisive moment comes quickly. A precise strike to the side flips the great white onto its back, triggering a temporary state known as tonic immobility. In that instant, the ocean's formidable predator loses its ability to respond. The focus is directed toward the most energy-rich part, which can account for up to about 25% of the prey's body weight. In the natural world, collective intelligence can at times be more formidable than even the strongest bite. Along the vast migration routes of the ocean, humpback whales appear as a symbol of calm strength. An adult can weigh around 88,000 pounds, carrying pectoral fins that reach about 16 feet in length. These remarkable fins do more than create a commanding presence at the surface. They also serve as an active defense system, helping the mother keep her calf close and block approaching threats. During the breeding season, the ocean becomes more tense. As more calves appear, vulnerable targets come into the view of orcas. Rather than confronting a full-grown adult directly, they often follow, apply pressure, and look for chances to separate the calf from protection. Humpback whales respond with strong protective instincts. The mother often turns her body, keeping the calf on the inside, using her head, tail, and massive pectoral fins to block the approach. However, as the encounter continues, the advantage can shift toward the side with tighter coordination. On rare occasions, orcas display complex distraction behavior. One individual moves in with unpredictable timing, causing the calf to drift slightly from its safe position. A brief moment of disruption can unsettle the defensive formation. From there, the pod quickly adjusts its angle and closes the distance. In the ocean, dominance does not always belong to the strongest, but to the species that can adapt in order to survive. Along the remote sub-Antarctic coastlines, damp sandy shores at the water's edge serve as resting and training grounds for sea lions. Their thick layer of blubber helps retain heat in cold waters, while their bodies remain agile both in the ocean and on land. But beneath the surface, orcas move quietly, observing each wave pattern, each access point, and the habits of their target. With bodies exceeding 25 feet in length, they are not only powerful, but remarkable for their ability to learn. To reach fast-moving prey along the shallows, orcas perform one of the most daring and refined behaviors in the natural world: intentional beaching. They study the rhythm of the tides, waiting for the precise moment when larger waves rise, then use the surge of water to build momentum. In a brief instant, the distance nearly disappears. A massive body slides onto the sand, gaining advantage at the fragile boundary between two worlds, before using controlled force to return to deeper water. Every movement is measured down to the inch, as if the orca moves in sync with the breathing of the ocean. In a different setting, where ocean currents lead into sandy seabeds, orcas quickly adjust their strategy when encountering stingrays. Rather than approaching directly toward a defensive tail spine, they use their powerful tails to drive water downward into the sediment. This indirect action forces the stingray out of concealment and disrupts its timing, allowing the orca to take control of the situation without direct risk. In the vast ocean, the peak of evolution does not belong to the one that creates the greatest fear, but to the species that adapts, mastering the rules of survival in every moment. In the cold offshore waters of the Pacific, sound becomes an invisible map of life. Dolphins rely on clicks, whistles, and echolocation to navigate, recognize one another, and respond to potential danger. When an entire pod accelerates, they can exceed 20 miles per hour, and the surface appears stitched together by streaks of silver moving in unison. From a distance, orcas have already interpreted that rhythm of movement. They are apex predators, and at the same time, the largest members of the dolphin family. Their true strength lies not only in size, but in how a group of around 20 individuals coordinates as a single body. The approach begins quietly. One group positions itself behind, encouraging the dolphins to maintain high speed. Another group shifts outward to the sides, forming a wide arc. There is no chaos, only calculated spacing, steady pacing, and pressure that builds gradually with each passing wave. As the endurance run continues, the natural protection of the pod begins to weaken. A younger or less experienced dolphin may fall slightly behind, drifting away from the center of the formation. That is the decisive moment. A brief surge through the white water is enough to disrupt its timing. In some cases, this behavior also serves as a practical lesson for younger orcas within the group, where coordination and timing are observed and learned. The ocean does not grant advantage forever to the fastest. At times, control belongs to the species that can turn sound, movement, and family into a strategy for survival. The migration of gray whales stands as a measure of endurance in the open ocean. To protect a calf weighing around 2,000 pounds from strong waves and coastal currents, a mother, often reaching 45 feet in length, keeps her young close at all times. Yet these near-shore routes also create opportunities for orcas, predators that do not hesitate. From behind, a group of orcas follows quietly over several miles. They take turns applying pressure, encouraging the mother and calf to constantly change direction. Some individuals hold position on the outer edges, while others gradually narrow the space around the calf. In response, the mother often moves toward shallower waters, where the orca's mobility becomes more limited. The outcome is not always in the orca's favor. Gray whale mothers are known for their resilience, persistence, and strong defensive responses when their calves are at risk. But if the pursuit continues, fatigue can build, and even a slight shift in distance may be enough to disrupt the protective formation. The savannah seems to hold its breath as the lion launches forward, but victory does not follow. The prey rises in defense with sharp horns, powerful kicks, and a fierce instinct to survive. In only a moment, the counterattack shifts the balance and forces the lion out of control. Rivals begin to close in, turning one small mistake into overwhelming pressure. When the advantage disappears, will the lion retreat or risk everything once again? Across the open savanna, the zebra stands as a striped warrior, familiar prey, yet far from easy to overpower. A full-grown zebra can weigh nearly 1,000 pounds, supported by powerful legs and rapid herd instincts. When chased, it can sprint at around 40 miles per hour. But when escape routes begin to close, running is no longer the only option. For lions, zebras are a rich source of energy, but also a dangerous target. Out on the open grasslands, the predator must get close enough and choose the right individual separated from the herd. If the zebra gains full speed, the advantage can disappear within seconds. Near the edge of the herd, a lioness moves quietly through low grass, focusing on the slowest animal. The distance narrows little by little. The moment the zebras notice movement, the entire formation breaks apart. Dust rises into the air as pounding hooves send vibrations across the plain. But then a mother zebra suddenly turns back. She twists sharply and delivers a powerful kick with her hind legs. At the moment of contact, the force can reach nearly 3,000 pounds per square inch, stopping the lion's advance in the middle of the dust cloud. For a brief moment, the hunter becomes the one forced backward, not by another predator, but by the fierce resistance of the prey itself. Across the African grasslands, buffalo move like living fortresses. Their massive bodies can weigh around 1,500 pounds. With horns spreading nearly 3 feet wide and a forehead built like a shield, every full-grown individual becomes a formidable opponent. For lions, buffalo represent a major reward, but also one of the most dangerous hunts on the savannah. A separated individual may create an opportunity, while an alert herd makes every approach unpredictable. Lions usually spend time observing, searching for the young, the aging, or those that fall behind. Only when the distance closes to a few dozen feet can a sudden charge create an advantage. The grass shifts lightly. The hunting formation spreads from several directions. But buffalo do not scatter like smaller prey animals. At the sound of a warning signal, the herd quickly turns together, forming a wall against the threat. From the front, the adults step forward, tightening the space and forcing the lions to change direction. At times, the predators must retreat, even climbing onto low branches while waiting for the herd to move away. The hunt no longer becomes a simple pursuit, but a test of limits. Even so, lions never abandon instinct. Buffalo remain an important food source for the pride, but reaching that reward demands patience, coordination, and caution. On the grasslands, strength is not measured only by the charge, but also by knowing when to stop. The impala is not the largest prey animal, but it is one of the most frustrating challenges for many big cats. Its light body, long legs, and quick reflexes help it burst forward at nearly 50 miles per hour and leap more than 9 feet in a single escape move. For a lion, a predator that needs a large amount of food to maintain its strength, the impala is an attractive but unpredictable target. Beside a shallow waterhole, the lion stays hidden behind low grass. It waits for the wind to shift, waits for the impala herd to lower their heads to drink, then suddenly launches from close range. Dust rises behind each heavy step. The pounce seems carefully timed. But the impala notices the movement in time. It turns its body sharply in a split second, throwing the lion's charge off rhythm. One quick change of direction is enough to open the distance again. The prey disappears back into the herd, while the predator is left standing in the grassland. Many lion hunts have a success rate below 30%, because speed does not always overcome a perfectly timed reflex. With a full-grown impala, that risk becomes even greater. On the Savannah, sometimes one small turn is enough to rewrite the outcome of an entire hunt. Hyenas do not carry the same regal appearance as lions. Weighing around 150 pounds, they rely on endurance, powerful jaws, and the ability to process tough leftover food sources that many other predators leave behind. In the wild, spotted hyenas live in matriarchal societies where females hold dominance. A large clan can include nearly 80 members, operating through vocal calls, social rank, and remarkable coordination. For lions, hyenas are long-standing rivals. When they notice a young male lion separated from the pride in search of food, hyenas often begin surrounding him from a distance. They do not rush in immediately. Instead, they circle, move closer, then pull back again, maintaining constant pressure to wear down the strength and confidence of a future king. Outnumbered and surrounded, the lion can do little more than defend himself briefly while searching for an opening to escape. At lion feeding sites, the moment hyenas detect signs of prey, they quickly gather and call in more clan members, turning the scene into a tense contest. It often takes around 4 hyenas to create serious pressure against a lioness. But when a full-grown male lion arrives, the balance can shift instantly. On the Savannah, a lion's status is never truly at rest. The greater the power, the more relentless the pressure surrounding it becomes. Across the dry land, the Oryx appears quietly, yet with unmistakable power. This desert antelope has a solid build, lasting endurance, and an incredible ability to survive without water. A full-grown individual can weigh more than 400 pounds. But what makes predators hesitate most is its pair of horns, nearly 4 feet long, straight, sharp, and always facing forward. In a land where water is scarce, every hunting opportunity becomes valuable for a lion. As an oryx lowers its head to graze, the lion begins to close the distance. It lowers its body, uses the wind and shade, then moves step by step across the dry ground. But that silence does not escape the prey's attention. The oryx lifts its head, stands still, then stamps the ground as a warning signal. The lion keeps moving closer, waiting for a moment when the rear side seems exposed. Just as the charge appears perfectly timed, the oryx turns, lowers its head, and points its horns straight ahead. The lion's momentum is stopped before the move can be completed. The lion is forced to step back. In the desert, calmness is also a form of strength. Sometimes, simply standing firm is enough to change the outcome of an entire hunt. Across the open grasslands of Africa, African wild dogs are considered some of the savanna's most enduring hunters. They are not as large as lions, with each individual weighing around 80 pounds. But they stand out through stamina, agility, and coordination that rarely stops. During a chase, they can reach nearly 44 miles per hour, then maintain pressure as a pack rather than relying on a single strike. Between wild dogs and lions, the conflict is not only about hunting, but also about territory and food competition that has lasted for generations. With far greater strength, male lions often dominate wide areas, take over feeding grounds, and frequently force wild dogs to abandon the rewards of an exhausting hunt. Each loss drains valuable energy from the pack, especially when young pups still depend on the adults for survival. But wild dogs do not completely surrender to that pressure. When they notice a lone lioness searching for food, the pack quickly changes formation. Short calls echo across the grasslands as individuals gather from different directions, surrounding the lioness and creating constant pressure. Their goal is not a direct fight, but to drive her away, issue a warning, and defend the pack's living space. Under that relentless pressure, the lioness will sometimes retreat rather than risk losing her advantage. For wild dogs, this is not a grand victory. It is simply the way the pack protects its chance to survive in a world that favors those who know how to work together. As the final ripples fade, the ocean returns to its familiar calm. Yet beneath that stillness remains the mark of a master predator. The orca shows that strength does not come from the body alone, but from the way the entire pod moves as one. In the largest environment on Earth, precision can reshape the balance of survival. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can follow more wild journeys ahead.